Listen to me right now. If you want to understand why billionaires think differently, why they operate on a completely different frequency, it comes down to one thing: time. They don't see time as something to pass. They don't see it as something to spend. They see it as their most valuable currency. Money, you can lose it and earn it back. Opportunities, they come and go. But time, the moment it's gone forever. That's why billionaires guard their time like their life depends on it. Because it does. Every single second they are asking themselves, is what I'm doing right now moving me closer to my vision, or is it pulling me further away? That's the filter. They don't wake up to kill time scrolling, gossiping, or wasting energy on things that don't matter. They wake up with intention, with purpose, with clarity. Understand this: billionaires don't say, I don't have time. They say, this isn't worth my time. There's a massive difference. One is powerless, the other is powerful. One makes you a victim, the other makes you the master of your life. You want to live at that level? Then stop treating your hours like they're endless. Start valuing your mornings like they're sacred. Guard your focus. Ruthlessly eliminate distractions. Every yes to something small and meaningless is a no to something big and life-changing. Billionaires never waste time because they know time wasted is life wasted. And life wasted is potential buried. So here's the question: are you going to keep living like your time is cheap, or are you ready to start valuing it like it's priceless? Because it is. Time is the ultimate currency, and billionaires understand this truth at the deepest level. They don't just casually acknowledge it, they live by it, breathe it, and build their entire life around it. To them, every second is an investment, every hour is an asset, and every day is an opportunity to compound growth. While most people trade their time cheaply, scrolling endlessly on social media, stuck in conversations that don't serve them, or lost in activities that keep them busy but not productive, billionaires treat time as if it were more valuable than money. Because in reality it is. You can lose money and make it back. You can recover from financial setbacks. You can rebuild empires that collapse, but you can never reclaim a wasted moment. Once a minute passes, it is gone forever, and the way you used it determines the trajectory of your future. This is why billionaires are obsessed with protecting their time. They design their days with precision, not by accident. They don't let the world dictate their schedule. They dictate the world by controlling their time. Most people wake up and immediately let the demands of others consume their attention. Emails, messages, requests, but billionaires don't allow that chaos to invade their focus. They build boundaries, they use systems. They delegate everything that doesn't require their unique brilliance. Why? Because they know their energy and attention are finite, and spending them on low-value tasks is like throwing away pure gold. They have mastered the art of saying no because every yes costs time. They understand that if you say yes to everything, you are essentially saying no to the things that matter most. The average person thinks they're being polite, agreeable, or hardworking when they give away their time freely, but billionaires see it as weakness, as a lack of awareness of the true value of life. They don't waste time on drama, on gossip, on things that bring no return. They don't attend every meeting. They don't chase every opportunity. They don't engage in every battle. They are selective, strategic, and ruthless when it comes to where their minutes go. Every decision is filtered through the lens of time. Does this create growth? Does this align with my vision? Does this multiply, or does it subtract? That's the mindset that separates billionaires from the rest. For them, time isn't just something to manage, it's something to maximize. They compress decades into years because they value efficiency, they eliminate unnecessary steps, and they move with speed and precision. They invest in their own growth because they know the time spent learning, improving, and sharpening their skills has the highest return imaginable. They see time spent on personal mastery as planting seeds that will bear fruit for a lifetime. The truth is, most people don't realize how much time they're bleeding away. They think a little distraction here and there doesn't matter, but compounded over weeks, months, and years, it becomes the reason they stay stuck. Billionaires never fall into that trap. They understand the compounding effect of time. 10 minutes wasted daily becomes 60 hours lost in a year. Imagine what 60 hours of intentional, focused effort could create. That's a book written, a new business launched, a new skill mastered. That's the difference between mediocrity and mastery. That's why billionaires guard their time like hawks, because they know small leaks eventually sink big ships. They also surround themselves with people who respect time. They don't allow energy drainers, complainers, or slow movers to steal from them. They build circles of high performers who value speed, efficiency, and execution, because environment matters. If you're around people who waste time, you start to believe wasting time is normal. But if you're around people who value every second, who move with urgency, who execute relentlessly, then that energy transfers to you. Billionaires engineer their environment to protect their most precious asset, their time. And here's the part most people miss: billionaires don't work endlessly just to work. They don't fill their schedules with meaningless activity. They work with precision, with leverage, and with intention so they can free more of their time to think, to create, to build. They understand that thinking deeply is more valuable than working endlessly. They spend hours strategizing, envisioning, and making decisions that shape the future, while others are caught in the cycle of doing without thinking. They don't confuse movement with progress. They don't confuse being busy with being productive. They know that a single hour of clarity-driven decision-making can produce results that a year of unfocused work never will. Time is the ultimate currency because it is the foundation of everything else. Billionaires have simply mastered what the rest of the world ignores: that life is not measured in years, it is measured in how you spend your hours. That the difference between success and failure is not talent, not luck, not resources, but how you allocate your time. That every moment is either invested or wasted, and the return is determined by the choices you make in the present. They live with urgency not because they are afraid, but because they are aware. They know time is priceless, and they refuse to let it slip through their fingers like sand in the wind. They measure actions by return on time, not just return on money. This mindset alone separates billionaires from almost everyone else, because while most people evaluate decisions based on how much money they might make, billionaires evaluate based on how much time it will cost and whether that investment of time will produce exponential value in the future. They understand that money is renewable. It can flow in and out. It can be lost and regained, but time is the one resource that cannot be recovered. For them, the return on time is the ultimate equation. Every phone call, every meeting, every task, every project is run through this filter. Is this the highest and best use of my time, or is it draining hours that could be spent building something bigger? When you start to look at life through this lens, your perspective changes entirely. Suddenly you realize that saying yes to things that don't multiply your time or your impact is the most expensive mistake you can make. The average person will happily trade hours of their life for a small amount of money, never realizing they're selling off the most precious commodity they have. They'll work on low-value tasks, do things that could easily be delegated, spend time on busy work that makes them feel productive but doesn't move them forward. Billionaires don't play that game. They constantly ask, is this action going to multiply the value of my time? Is this going to produce a result that justifies the hours invested? They understand leverage, and they relentlessly seek out activities that give them massive return on their time. That's why they invest in building teams, creating systems, and leveraging technology, because those things create time freedom. A billionaire doesn't ask, how much does this cost? They ask, how much time does this save? And what is the compounded value of that time saved when redirected toward higher impact actions? When you operate this way, you stop looking at the price of things and start looking at the time cost. For example, if you spend hours researching, fixing, or tinkering with something that an expert could do in 30 minutes, you may have saved a little money, but you wasted hours of time that could have been used to build income, create opportunities, or strategize for the future. Billionaires never fall into this trap. They are not trying to be the cheapest. They are trying to be the most effective. They see hiring people, paying for expertise, or investing in better tools not as an expense, but as buying back their own time, which in their world is the highest return investment possible. They also know that time invested in vision and strategy pays infinitely more than time spent reacting to problems. Most people live in reaction mode, putting out fires, handling whatever comes at them. But billionaires spend the bulk of their time proactively creating. They don't just measure return on money, they measure how much an hour of focused creativity or decisive thinking will yield. They understand that 1 hour of clarity can save hundreds of hours of confusion, and they place a higher value on thinking than on constant doing. That's why they clear space in their schedules for deep thought, reflection, and planning, because the return on those hours is exponential compared to the grind of endless activity. Return on time is also why billionaires are obsessed with speed. Not reckless speed, but intentional acceleration. They value execution because they know that the faster something is done, the sooner it can create returns, and the sooner they can redirect their time into the next opportunity. They don't procrastinate because they know procrastination compounds negatively. Waiting, delaying, hesitating, these are massive costs when measured in time. A month wasted in indecision is not just 30 days gone. It's momentum lost, opportunities missed, and energy drained. Billionaires protect themselves from this trap by acting quickly, testing ideas, iterating fast, and moving forward even if imperfectly, because the return on time is always higher when you act with urgency rather than hesitation. Another key part of this philosophy is energy management. Billionaires recognize that not all time is equal because an hour spent in a peak state of focus, creativity, and energy produces far more than an hour spent distracted, tired, or scattered. So they design their lives to optimize energy because that maximizes the return on their time. They invest in health, fitness, and mental sharpness not just for longevity, but because they know a strong body and sharp mind allow them to get 10x the output from every moment. An exhausted person might drag through an entire day and accomplish little, while a billionaire who is energized and focused can create breakthroughs in a fraction of that time. Measuring return on time forces them to see rest, recovery, and self-care not as luxuries but as investments in multiplying the effectiveness of every future hour. They also understand that relationships are a critical return on time factor. Who you spend time with either multiplies or subtracts from your life. Billionaires invest their hours in networks, partnerships, and collaborations that create growth. They don't waste time with people who drain energy or bring no value. They deliberately choose environments where their time compounds because they're around other thinkers, creators, and doers who push them higher. One conversation with the right person can be worth more than a year of grinding alone, and billionaires know this, which is why they curate their relationships with precision. Ultimately, measuring return on time forces them to live with intentionality. They know that every day brings a finite number of hours, and those hours are either invested or squandered. They don't look at the cost of something in dollars, they look at it in hours. If it costs them hours, they can never get back. It's too expensive, no matter the money involved. If it buys them hours of freedom, leverage, and growth, it's priceless, no matter the financial cost. This is why they seem to accomplish in a few years what takes others decades. They are measuring by the only metric that truly matters, the compounding return on their time. Every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. This is the principle that billionaires live by, whether consciously spoken or silently practiced. They understand that life is nothing more than the sum of their choices, and every time they say yes to something, they are simultaneously saying no to something else. The average person doesn't think about this. They say yes to every request, every distraction, every opportunity, every meaningless commitment, never realizing the cost. Billionaires see it differently. They know that each decision is a trade, and the most expensive trade you can make is giving away your focus to things that don't serve your purpose. When they decline an invitation, when they avoid gossip, when they ignore distractions, they aren't being rude, they're protecting their destiny. They're ensuring that their energy is channeled toward their vision and not scattered in 1,000 directions that lead nowhere. The problem with distractions is not just the minutes they take, it's the momentum they break, the clarity they cloud, and the discipline they weaken. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to the focused work that could move your life forward. You're saying no to the deep thinking that could create a breakthrough. You're saying no to the progress that compounds when you stay consistent. Billionaires know that greatness doesn't come from doing 100 different things halfway. It comes from doing a few things with relentless intensity. They guard their yes because they understand its value. Every yes drains time, energy, and attention, and those are finite. Say yes too often, and suddenly your destiny is compromised, not because you weren't capable, but because you were distracted. This is why billionaires simplify. They don't fill their calendars with endless tasks. They clear space for what matters. They don't chase after every shiny object or trend. They choose the few that align with their vision. They don't try to please everyone. They focus on impact. Most people live like they're afraid to miss out, saying yes to everything just to feel included. But billionaires live like they're afraid to dilute their destiny, saying no to everything that doesn't move them forward. This requires courage because saying no often means disappointing others, standing out, or being misunderstood. But they value their destiny more than the temporary approval of others. They know they weren't put here to live someone else's agenda. They were put here to fulfill their own. The human brain is wired for distraction. Every ping, every notification, every new idea tempts you to break focus. Most people give in, but billionaires discipline their environment and their habits to fight back. They turn off the noise. They design routines that create flow. They set boundaries so that interruptions are minimized. They don't rely on willpower alone. They engineer their lives so that focus becomes the default, because they know that their destiny depends on their ability to stay locked in on what truly matters. Every hour they reclaim from distraction is an hour invested in their future. Every time they resist the pull of the urgent but unimportant, they are saying yes to the important but not urgent. The things that build empires over time, saying yes to distraction, also has a compounding effect, but in the wrong direction. One small distraction leads to another, and soon you've lost not just minutes but hours, even days of progress. It's not just about the time you lose, it's about the mental shift that takes place. You break your focus, you lose your rhythm, and regaining that state of flow can take far longer than the distraction itself. Billionaires understand this hidden cost, and that's why they are ruthless about guarding their attention. They know that their best work comes when they are immersed, when their mind is fully engaged, when their energy is fully aligned with their purpose. And they refuse to compromise that state for something fleeting and meaningless. Every yes to distraction is also a no to discipline. It weakens the muscle of focus. The more you allow distractions to dictate your behavior, the more you train your brain to expect and accept interruptions. Billionaires don't allow that pattern to take root. They practice the discipline of staying the course, of honoring their commitments to themselves, of pushing through boredom or resistance without turning to distractions as an escape. They understand that mastery comes from depth, not from scattered attention. And depth requires saying no over and over again until your yes is powerful enough to shape your destiny. There's another layer here too. Every yes to distraction isn't just a no to your destiny. It's a yes to someone else's agenda. Every time you let your focus be hijacked by meaningless requests, by social media, by the noise of the world, you are allowing someone else to control your most valuable resource. Billionaires don't give that power away. They decide what deserves their attention. They choose their battles. They dictate the terms of their engagement. They don't wake up and surrender their day to the demands of others. They wake up and own their day by protecting their focus from distraction. This is the essence of freedom, not just financial freedom, but freedom of mind and purpose. And here's the truth. Your destiny doesn't come in one giant leap. It's not about one massive decision that changes everything. It's about thousands of small decisions every single day to stay on course. It's about the accumulation of yeses and nos. Yes to purpose, yes to focus, yes to growth. No to distractions, no to energy drainers, no to wasted time. Billionaires live this way not because they're superhuman, but because they know what's at stake. They know that destiny is fragile and distraction is its greatest enemy. So they live with awareness, with intentionality, with the clarity that every yes carries a cost and every no carries power. And in choosing wisely, they protect the future they are building moment by moment, decision by decision. Clarity and focus, not business, create exponential growth. Billionaires understand this truth with absolute certainty. They know that the world celebrates being busy, glorifies long hours, and praises constant hustle, but they also know that business does not equal productivity. You can fill your calendar with meetings, answer hundreds of emails, stay up late grinding on endless tasks, and still make no meaningful progress toward your vision. Billionaires don't fall into that trap. They refuse to confuse activity with achievement. Instead, they operate with clarity, clarity of vision, clarity of purpose, clarity of priorities, and then they execute with laser focus on the few things that truly move the needle. They are not obsessed with doing more. They are obsessed with doing what matters most. This is where exponential growth comes from. When you are clear on your destination, you can cut through the noise and eliminate everything that doesn't align with it. Billionaires do not waste energy on distractions disguised as opportunities. They don't chase every possibility just because it looks appealing in the moment. They measure everything against their vision. Does this action bring me closer to where I want to be, or does it pull me away? That simple question filters out 90% of the noise. Clarity is their compass, and with it, they move with speed and certainty while others wander in circles, exhausted but stagnant. Without clarity, you can spend years working hard and still find yourself nowhere closer to your goals. With clarity, a single year of focused execution can produce more than a decade of unfocused effort. Focus is the multiplier of clarity. Once the destination is clear, focus becomes the force that propels you there. Billionaires build their lives around focus. They don't multitask because they know multitasking is a lie. They don't split their attention across 10 projects at once because they know that depth creates mastery and mastery creates results. They concentrate their energy on the few high-impact actions that drive exponential returns. That's why they often seem to accomplish in months what takes others years. It's not because they are working harder in every direction. It's because they are working smarter in the right direction. They don't let their energy leak into meaningless activity. They harness it, channel it, and use it like a laser, cutting through obstacles and creating breakthroughs. Busyness is seductive because it makes you feel important. It gives the illusion of progress. You look at your packed calendar and overflowing inbox and convince yourself that you are moving forward. But billionaires see through this illusion. They know that business without clarity is nothing more than noise. It creates stress, fatigue, and burnout without producing real growth. Focus, on the other hand, produces momentum, and momentum compounds. A few hours of deep, focused work on the right thing can accomplish more than weeks of scattered effort. Billionaires design their lives to protect and maximize those hours of focus. They eliminate distractions. They delegate low-value tasks. They say no to opportunities that dilute their attention, and they reserve their energy for the projects that matter most. Clarity also gives them the courage to be misunderstood. When you are clear about your vision, you will say no to things that everyone else says yes to. You will focus on what others overlook. You will prioritize differently. To outsiders, it may look strange or even reckless. But billionaires don't measure their success by outside opinions. They measure it by alignment with their vision. They are willing to walk away from noise, to cut ties with things that don't serve them, to take the unpopular path if it leads to their desired destination. That clarity gives them strength, and their focus gives them results. This is why they achieve exponential growth, not by doing everything, but by doing the right things with relentless precision. Another important aspect is that billionaires understand the compounding power of clarity and focus. When you focus on the right actions consistently over time, the results don't just add up, they multiply. Every day of focus builds on the previous day. Every breakthrough opens the door to the next. Exponential growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when focused effort compounds over time. Billionaires live in alignment with this principle. They don't chase instant gratification. They play the long game. They know that a few years of clarity-driven focus can create wealth, freedom, and impact for generations. They are patient with results, but impatient with distractions. They give their energy to the seeds they are planting, knowing that harvest always comes after consistent effort in the right direction. Focus also requires discipline, and billionaires treat discipline as a non-negotiable. They don't rely on motivation alone, because motivation fades. They build systems, routines, and habits that lock in focus. They start their days with intention. They schedule their time around priorities, not around whatever comes up. They create rituals that put them in peak state so they can enter deep focus quickly and stay there. They protect their mornings, their energy, and their attention as if their life depends on it, because they know their future does. Discipline and focus is what allows them to create extraordinary results, while others scatter their energy across countless distractions. And clarity does not mean rigidity. Billionaires are clear about the destination, but flexible with the path. They know the vision, but they adapt their strategies. Clarity gives them direction, but focus gives them execution. When obstacles arise, they don't abandon the vision. They simply adjust the approach. This flexibility combined with unwavering clarity ensures they continue moving forward no matter what stands in their way. Business, on the other hand, often disguises avoidance. People stay busy to feel productive while avoiding the hard, uncomfortable, focused work that actually matters. Billionaires do not avoid the hard things. They lean into them because they know that those are the things that produce exponential results at the deepest level. Clarity and focus are about ownership, owning your vision, owning your time, owning your choices. Billionaires take full responsibility for how they spend their time and where they direct their energy. They don't blame circumstances. They don't wait for luck. And they don't allow themselves to be carried by the current of business. They choose deliberately and powerfully what deserves their attention. That ownership creates freedom, and that freedom creates exponential growth. While the world stays trapped in the cycle of business, they break free through clarity and focus, building lives of purpose, wealth, and impact that others only dream about. Wasting time is wasting life, and billionaires refuse to bury their potential. They know that every tick of the clock is a piece of their life being spent, and once it's gone, it can never be reclaimed. They don't see time as something abstract or casual. They see it as the very essence of life itself. To waste time is to waste the one resource that is more valuable than all the money, assets, or opportunities in the world. This is why billionaires live with a heightened awareness of how precious every moment is. They operate with a deep sense of urgency, not in a frantic way, but in a purposeful way. They wake up knowing that the hours ahead are either going to compound their future or vanish into nothingness. That awareness fuels their discipline, their decisions, and their determination to make every moment count. Most people live as if time is infinite. They waste it carelessly on distractions, meaningless activities, and empty conversations, believing there will always be more. They postpone their dreams, delay their goals, and assume they can always do it tomorrow. Billionaires reject this illusion. They understand that tomorrow is never guaranteed, and that the only moment they truly own is the one in front of them. This perspective drives them to act decisively, to seize opportunities, and to pursue their vision with intensity. They don't leave life to chance because they know every wasted hour is a piece of their destiny lost forever. Wasting time is not just about losing minutes, it's about losing momentum, losing opportunity, and losing potential. Billionaires don't bury their potential in the soil of procrastination. They don't wait for the perfect moment because they know it doesn't exist. They start, they execute, they adjust along the way, but they never sit idle while time slips through their fingers. They refuse to let fear or hesitation paralyze them because they know hesitation is just another form of wasted time. They choose action over waiting, momentum over stagnation, progress over perfection. They are aware that wasted time is wasted potential, and wasted potential is wasted life. Their refusal to waste time is their declaration that their life and purpose are too valuable to squander. The compounding effect of wasted time is something they understand deeply. One wasted day might seem harmless, but a wasted day becomes a wasted week, and wasted weeks become wasted years. Before long, a life is filled with regret, not because of what was done, but because of what was left undone. Billionaires avoid this trap by valuing every day as an opportunity to move closer to their vision. They set intentions, they measure progress, and they hold themselves accountable to the way they use their hours. They are not perfect, but they are aware, and that awareness protects them from the slow decay of wasted potential. They live with the constant recognition that time is limited, and that knowledge fuels their urgency to maximize it. Another critical layer is that billionaires see wasted time as disrespect for their own gift of life. They know they were given talents, skills, and opportunities, and to waste time is to dishonor those gifts. They hold themselves to a standard of stewardship where their time must be used to create, to contribute, to build, and to impact. They don't treat life casually because they know their potential is meant to be expressed, not buried. Wasted time is buried talent, buried dreams, buried possibilities. Billionaires refuse to let that happen. They feel a responsibility not only to themselves, but to the world to use their time in ways that expand their potential and create something meaningful. This perspective also shapes the way they design their environment. Billionaires are ruthless about eliminating time wasters. They don't linger in circles where conversations go nowhere. They don't indulge in negativity, and they don't surround themselves with people who pull them away from their purpose. They curate their environment to protect their time because they know environment shapes behavior and behavior shapes destiny. They avoid people who treat time cheaply because they understand that wasted time is contagious. Instead, they build communities of people who value growth, execution, and urgency because being around those who refuse to waste time reinforces their own commitment to living fully. Billionaires also buy back time relentlessly. They invest in systems, teams, and tools that allow them to focus on what matters most. To them, wasting time on things that can be delegated is just as damaging as wasting it on distractions. They don't equate business with productivity. They equate impact with productivity. They measure their success not by how much they did, but by how much their time multiplied. They know their highest potential lies in vision, strategy, and creation, and they do everything in their power to free their hours for those activities. This is not just efficiency. It's a refusal to waste life on anything less than their highest calling. They also understand that rest is not wasted time when used intentionally. Billionaires recognize that time spent restoring their energy, fueling their body, and sharpening their body is an investment in their future productivity. But they never confuse intentional recovery with mindless wasting. There is a difference between rest that rejuvenates and distraction that drains, and they live with the discipline to choose the former. They know their potential cannot be fully expressed if they are depleted, so they guard their energy not as an excuse to be lazy, but as a strategy to maximize every hour they spend in creation and impact. The refusal to waste time is also why billionaires are often seen as intense. They carry an energy that others sometimes mistake for impatience, but it is not impatience. It is awareness. Awareness that life is short, awareness that potential is fragile, awareness that the window of opportunity is not endless. They live urgently because they know urgency creates momentum and momentum creates results. They don't put off the important conversations, the bold decisions, the uncomfortable actions because they know waiting is wasting. They act now because now is all they truly have. And in that urgency, they build empires, create legacies, and live lives that most people only dream of. At its core, the reason billionaires refuse to waste time is because they understand that wasting time is wasting themselves, their life, their potential, their vision. Everything is tied to how they spend their hours. Every moment wasted is a piece of their greatness left unrealized. They are unwilling to let that happen. They are unwilling to bury their potential under the weight of delay, distraction, or inaction. They live with the unshakable conviction that time is life, and to honor time is to honor the gift of life itself.